Part 3. Alcoholics. Have you ever had someone close to you become an alcoholic? If you haven't, let me fill you in on how it goes. At first, you're bending over backwards for them. You're answering all their calls and you're going out of your way to hear from them no matter how drunk they are. And you're like, okay, I have to take this. Sorry, guys, I have to take this. And they're giving you all these guilt trips about how you're not helping enough. And you're kind of taking them to heart. And then they're drinking so much that sometimes they're not even conscious. And you're like, oh, fuck, what do I do? Do I get a mirror to see if they're still breathing? And you call 911, but then they wake up before the ambulance gets there and they scream at you for calling the ambulance. And so that was clearly wrong, I guess. And you're like, fuck, well, what do I do then? And then sometimes you can't get a hold of them for a few days and you're absolutely scared out of your fucking mind the whole time. You're like, what if they're at the bottom of a staircase somewhere? But then the second you miss a call from them, oh my fucking word, you shouldn't have done that, because now you're a lousy family member. You're leaving them all alone. You're the reason that they're so isolated. And you spend your whole life worrying about them. You arrange your life for their addiction, and it starts to affect all of your other relationships. But then you talk to them and they're like, why does no one care about me? Why don't you care about me? And you're like, you sure as fuck don't want to hear that anymore. But if you get off the phone, they're gonna think that you care even less. So hours of your life flying by, listening to guilt trip after guilt trip, and you soak up all this blame, and you argue and it feels bad, and you refuse to argue and that still feels bad, and you get blamed, and then you don't visit, but you get blamed for not visiting, and then so you visit, and then you get blamed for not visiting more, and then eventually you're just like, fuck this. You're like, fuck this. If I'm super involved with this person, I get blamed for everything. And if I'm not super involved with this person, I still get blamed for everything. And at that point you hit this big realization that I can't change someone who doesn't want to change. But I could damn sure fuck up my life trying to do so. So I just gotta do what's good for me. And that realization is actually very freeing, because it allows you to use your own well-being as your compass. And so, if something is good for you, you just make it happen. You fucking do it, and you don't have to justify it to anyone. Because no justification will ever be good enough when you're dealing with an addict. And if you've ever argued with an alcoholic, you've seen this play out. It doesn't matter how tactfully or thoughtfully you present your case, you're still going to be seen as a bad guy. For instance, you could say a super smart, super rational, thought out, politely presented plan to recover from alcoholism. Or you could say, you're a fucking alcoholic. And either way, you're going to get about the same response. And it's going to be a response about how you're unsupportive and you're judgmental and you're self-righteous and you're a bad son or daughter and how you don't know what it's like and blah 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 and all that bullshit. And the reason for this is, when you're dealing with an addict, you are in a completely different arena than that of a rational conversation. And the addict will use all this rational and logical language to try and make you think that you're still in the arena of a rational conversation and try to make you doubt yourself. But if you embrace the fuck it, I'm going to do me mindset, then it's a lot easier to avoid getting wrapped up in all that bullshit. That's not to say that addicts can't change. Addicts can change, but that change is not something that you can do for them and not something that you can just convince them to do. They have to make that choice for themselves. And the best you can do until then is to take care of yourself.